Welcome to the Lone Machinist Podcast, the podcast where it's just you, your tools, and the work. No team, no backup. I'm Jamie from JSpec Engineering, and every episode we're tackling the highs and lows of flying solo in the machining world.
And I'm Curt from Confounded Machine, here to chat about everything it takes to make it as a one-man show in the shop. From grinding and turning to the struggles of running a one-person operation, we're sharing the stories, the tricks, and the challenges that come with going it alone.
If you're out there in the shop grinding away by yourself, or just thinking about taking a solo plunge, this show's for you.
So throw in your ear protection and let's talk about life behind the machine.
Good morning, Curt. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Jamie. I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing, man?
Yeah, carrying on. It's evening this side. But yeah,
Right.
Monday evening for me. So yeah, I had a whole day of work and then came inside, was busy working on a video, and it's now recording time. So we're going to record episode 6.
Well, it works perfectly because you got a day full of stories, and I'm just starting my day full of stories. So
exactly. So yeah, what did you get up to last week?
Last week for me was just shipping pens out. That's basically all I spent all week doing. I was kind of sick midweek, and then after that, just launch the pens, do all the sales, and then started boxing up orders, and that's all I've been doing. Just doing the last of it today, and that's going to be nice to get that out of my way so I can get back to machining things again. That's kind of more fun.
Yeah, your sale went really well by the looks of it.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it went really well. I was super happy with the lottery system. I had like probably 80% of the spots claimed, which is kind of what I planned on. It was a little bit close. Because I kind of had to estimate how many people would claim the lottery spots and how many people would just ghost. Because if I get it wrong, then I kind of oversell and then I get myself in hot water. So I got really close to the limit, but I was pretty pleased how it worked out. So, and then everything else just dropped into first come first serve, and that went like instantaneously. So that's always confidence inspiring.
Yeah, I find it amazing that you put stuff up and it just instantly sells. That is literally the dream.
Yeah, like you get a little bit of like a cult following, and then it just it worked out. Worked out well.
In your case, it's a Curt following.
It's a Curt following. Yeah, I'm pleased with that.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So what's new in your world? Okay.
Yeah, my material arrived on Monday afternoon, late, and then ended up machining parts till about 11 o'clock at night to get that stuff that I needed out on Monday. So I went and delivered that on Tuesday morning. And then Ambrose struck again and didn't deliver my other material order towards the end of the week. So I didn't get to run production all weekend. I actually haven't even delivered today. I'm going to light a fire under them tomorrow and be like, what the hell's going on here? This stuff has now been paid for a week. Where's my material? I'm in the fortunate position that customer, I said to them, listen, should be getting material. They're like, no, they'll push payments through. They know where I live, so they'll push. It's not a huge amount of money either, but this is a bit of a problem that material isn't being delivered when it's supposed to be. And I was up the road there last week, Thursday, and I literally drove past the supplier and was like, no, I'm sure it'll be delivered. I don't really want to put these 3-meter lengths on my bucky. It's just going to stuff it up. I'd rather have them deliver, expecting it the following day. And yeah, now I'm sitting unable to run my 2 lathes because I have no bar stock. But yeah, other than that, been having fun in the workshop. Been working on the anchor point.
Yeah, I've been seeing that progress on that is looking fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's been 5 months that I've been working on those the 5 beta units, and I've been doing the R&D when there's been cash flow available and when there's been time available. And I'm trying to build out my processes. So if we get in a situation where we release it and all of a sudden we've got 100 orders, we're not then scrambling to figure out how to do this. Like I've built all the processes over the last 5 months and have them all documented and have a surface grinder now so that I can grind all the stuff in-house. The only issue is if we have to anodize 100 things, it's going to be a bit of a horrible experience.
Yeah, that sounds like less fun. What would be your you don't have to say exact numbers, but like what's your quantity you could produce about now of those? Like per month.
Cash flow is the limit. Well, cash flow is the limiting factor. Yeah, I could produce 100 of them in a month, no problem.
Oh, okay. That's
in theory. That's 10 days worth of anodizing to do 100 units. I can do 10 parts per day through my current anode setup.
Okay.
Yeah, and that would not be the limiting factor. The limiting factor would be getting the tool steel in, getting that through to heat treats and back that's a week, and then other material would come in. Hitting 100 is not a difficult feat. Like we'd have to wait for pull studs to come in, and that would be the biggest delay. I think that would be 2 to 3 weeks to bring cheap Chinese pull studs in.
The heat treat, is that for the pads I sit on or the
Yeah,
pins or okay?
no, that's
And
the
are you
pad. So
gonna?
I buy the pins hard already. They hardened steel. I actually must look up what steel they are, but they hardened and ground the locating pins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty slick. Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
then it's just the pad that I manufacture that then so it's a lathe op, then a mill op, then it goes off to heat treat, comes back, gets sandblasted or soda blasted, and then it gets ground and then assembled. And I need to
hmm,
get that process. I require a little bit more equipment to just dial in. Obviously, I want the units to be as close in Z as possible.
right.
But on my website, there's a bunch of technical data available now that we got done over the weekend. Um, the call out is plus minus comma one of a millimeter, so 39
Yeah, yeah.
thousandths for the Z. Like they're not on there. There's a disclaimer: they are not meant to be spanned.
Yeah.
There is some
So say
stuff
it's
coming. Yeah, there's some stuff coming. Mostly, so the one is called the anchor point. Then I plan on
mhm.
doing a 2 and a 4 module called the mooring point and the harbor.
Oh, nice, nice. I
Because
like
there's
this.
always some fun with the names, but yeah, those are still a little bit of a way out. Like it's basically manufacturing 4 units and just putting them all on one base pad, which has its own set of challenges regarding assembly and things like that.
Yeah, well, I think just even the single pads, I think those would be immensely
Yeah.
useful for most people. And like if you want to run two of them, like that's what I would do is run two, and then I'll just deck them, and then just keep the plates for each
Yes.
side. And then you have
So
matched Z if you want them.
so my plan for the ones that are joined, the unit's going to be uh, the whole base of it is 300 millimeters, designed for a 300 millimeter pallet. So it'll be 100 millimeters, a span of about 100 mils, and then another unit, so that you can span the two and get a bit longer in one axis. And
Hmm.
then what I'll do is I'll assemble those. I'll make a fixture that goes in the LK that I put the thing upside down on. And then so when I machine the
Ah, right,
base,
right, right.
that's machined in one setting. So as long as my stack up is the same, I put that upside down and then I machine the back off of the riser. And then those are coplanar.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I've been planning how to do this in a repeatable, reliable manner. And yeah,
Yeah.
not a super easy thing to just whip up.
Well, yeah, and they're also locating, so it's not like
Yeah,
it's not you're just not making two towers. You're making two
yeah,
towers that are like also
exactly
tolerance
the
to each
right
other. Yeah.
place. Yeah. So
Yeah.
no, I've got to make a fixture probably tomorrow or the next. I've got a job in the mill at the moment. As soon as that's done, I think I'll find a piece of material to make a fixture that's got 2 hardened bushes in it and a pull stud, and then a linear guide rail that I can put my indicator on. So the assembly process is I've got to push the piston down, compress the springs, grip a pull stud on a. I've got a little like 40 diameter piece of aluminium. I grab that, then I can bolt that the unit because now it's all compressed. I can bolt that to the base, but there's no way of indicating that. So you bolt the base on, compressed air, release the pull stud, and then that'll go on to this fixture that I'm going to make. And then I'll loosen the base again, and I can indicate it to be parallel to the 2 pins, so that when you put it in your machine, you can rely on the dowel pins in the bottom on the Sanders compatible bases or the Lang base. It is all aligned, and the pins are parallel to the reference surfaces.
Mm, mhm, mhm.
Yeah, there's a hell of a lot that goes into bringing a product to market, but I mean, that you make very very fancy pens.
Oh yeah, thanks. But I mean, anything with kind of complications like that, it's just like it's a little bit different than just making a one piece widget. Like there's a lot of moving parts.
Well, making one of something's easy.
Yeah,
Going into
yeah.
production is not. I mean, I made version 1 of this. I must actually go back and look when I made it. I did version 1 of this for myself. Then I did version 2. And then after IMTS, I started with version 3, fixing all the little things that I wanted to just tweak and the annoyances from using it for almost a year. And now version 3, I found a whole bunch of issues when I went through production. Like I had to make little brass spaces because I counterbored some of the holes on the gripper a millimeter too deep or deeper than they needed to be. So now the M 3x6 bolts are too long. It's like
Mm.
stupid little things. Found that. Um, I fixed so on the piston, there's pockets that the springs locate in. And a while back, I was like, I think I can get more gripping force out of this thing. Let me open it up. I shimmed the springs, figured out how much I could shim them to get them to compress more, found exactly where the limit was, adjusted the V2 model, and then when I spun off for the version 3, I adjusted it again.
Right. Yeah.
So instead of 1.5 millimeters less material, there's now 3 millimeters less material. So I had to put all the pistons back into the mill and probe each hole, open it down by 1.5 mil, probe the next one down by 1.5 mil. Like all these little things that won't be an issue when we go into production because we've built 5 of the units now. But
Hmm.
I'm sure new and exciting things will pop up when we do go into production.
Yeah, that's like people always ask me, like all the people that approach me that with their little pen project or whatever they're working on, and they're like, "Oh, do you think this is good? Like, should I make a bunch? Like, what do you think about this?" I'm like, "Okay, make one, and now make 5 more, because like you will learn so
Yeah.
much just making more of the exact same thing, and you'd be like, oh, this sucks to do this, or be like, this doesn't work when I try to make 10. Like, you don't know anything until you make a few of something.
Yeah.
Actually, it seems like
Making
every
one, you
quantity I
can
hit,
making one you
yeah,
can get away with murder. Like you
oh
can
yeah.
literally hit it with a file. But when you go into production, it's a different situation.
Well, and every quantity I hit now of like making more on, like now I'm like, oh, I don't know anything until I made 10 of something. I'm like, no, now I know nothing until I made 100 of something. It's like, you know what? I don't even know what you're talking about until you make 1,000 of something. It's just like, it's a forever increasing thing where you're like, oh yeah, there's always stuff that you're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
this is tedious.
No, that's it. And I mean, we kind of specialize in higher quantity stuff. Like I'm trying to turn away low quantity work at this point. But all these things come with their own set of challenges. I just looked it up. I was developing the palette in March last year. It's when I started the development.
Wow.
So we're going to probably be damn close to a full year of R&D before the beta tester units arrive.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's what some of these things take, right?
Yeah. Well, we're on the third like clean revision on this, and then we'll go into production, which will be basically version 3.
Nice. Well, and I guess
Yeah.
that's kind of like a nice segue into the kind of main topic of today of like where
Yes.
where we see or where our businesses are right now, what we're doing right now, in regards to much of anything, and then where we want to be in a year's time, whether that's with product or just processes or whatever. So
Well,
for
I
these
think
these these
I'm very
pallets, do you want
curious
what?
to hear. Well, I'm very curious to hear what your plans are for the next year, and then
Mm,
after that, we can dive into the planets and the growth of JSpec.
cool. Okay. Well, I think my main goal for this year is to I say this most years, but this is the first year that I'm more in line for it, is to basically have pens to a position where I have them either stocked or with processes dialed down to the point where that I can produce a fixed amount per month and then put some of my other focus on other products or refining designs to, like, I have a new 2 or 3 like skunkwork projects that I want to bring into like the world, but like there's no time. You're just constantly just fighting production, and then thankfully these are all good problems I'm having, but like then I get a bunch of growth, and then more people want my products, so then I increase batches, then I increase my production, and then I get more growth, and then it's like it's just I'm just constantly chasing my tail. So my goal for this year is to I don't like I think we talked in private, I don't really want to produce like hundreds of this style of pen per month. I'm happy with a fixed quantity per month, but I would like to get that dialed down so that it's not consuming 100% of my time. And I think I can do it with the equipment I have here without adding a bunch of equipment, maybe some smaller equipment. But I don't see myself buying a machine in this next year. I think I can grow and make a lot of efficiency gains with what I have right now.
Yeah, efficiency is it's where it's at. Like if you can get your production really dialed in, you can run for 2 weeks in the month and make your fixed number of pens, and then you've got the rest of the month to do R&D. Like that's the situation I'm in with one of my customers, where if they place their proposed orders for this year, I need to run machines for 8 days, and that my bills are paid. Like if they
That's
can
awesome.
consistently do that 8 days, I can do what I want for the rest of the month. Unfortunately, I have customers who like buying things, so I have to do their work in the balance of the month. But yeah, we're trying not to get into a position where we beholden to one customer.
No, that's a great idea. And I think it's a problem with like even like Instagram and like all these social media things where it's like everyone just like embrace the grind and just like grind yourself to dust and build these like like I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to go the other way either and have like a lifestyle business, but I also want to just like I want to be able to produce what I can produce without running around like my hair's on fire. And then if I want to go to the park with my girls in the afternoon, I can do that and like not feel stressed about like I don't know. We talked about like as soon as you make enough money to like live comfortably, like do you need to just like I have no desire just to grind my body into dust to create this like empire. Like I just want to produce what I produce efficiently and then just kind of enjoy life. So
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know.
100%. As Adam Demuth put it, though, you can't rely on the residual value of your machines as a retirement. So as long as you're
Exactly.
planning for that, then yeah, there's no like obviously lifestyle business is a different category altogether. But if you're doing enough, there's a certain point where you need to make the decision: do you want to grow into an empire, or do you want to stop growing and refine what you're doing at the scale you're at? Like, not everything has to be $1 billion company.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And I learned that even from this last batch, which is one of my larger pen batches to do. It's like I don't want to do this every single month in the efficiency, like in the way I'm doing it right now, because it's just a slog. Like the machining is the small part of the whole. Like doing the assembly, doing all the packaging. Like there's just little things you don't consider when you have to do, one operation, hundreds of times. It's like, okay, this is tedious, this is boring. I either want to automate this or make it efficient, and like that's the stuff that really charges me up. It's not like trying to squeak the maximum amount of, well, I guess it is trying to squeak the maximum amount of production out of it, but just like take away the boring, take away the suck, just make do
Yeah.
all the things I want to do.
Take away the stuff you don't enjoy doing or make someone else do it and focus on the things you really enjoy doing. So it's one of
Yeah,
those
when I
things where you're gonna upfront all the effort now to make it super efficient to do the things you don't like doing, because in the long run it means you get more time to do the things you do like doing.
Yeah, and I mean that's the main reason I bought the mill, the siles. Is like there's so many like just finishing operations coming off the little mill that just because the finishes weren't fantastic. So it's like, oh, this is tedious. And it's like, you know what? I would rather just have a nice machine, take that, and like it's been so nice. This last batch would have been impossible on my other machine, and to have it on that one, and just the parts come out, and I'm like, oh, these parts could go like directly into tumble if I wanted, and they would be fine. Like there's no machining marks. Like they're nice and clean. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was a lovely change.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when you throw money at a machine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like that's something I learned over the last year is the sister slowio barely gets used now because it's not worth running it on there and having to deal with chasing tolerances. Whereas the LK, it does the thing. Now I made pallets because now obviously I need to send the pallet systems out with pallets. So I had a bunch of material, was waiting for delivery. So I'm like, okay, cool. Let me quickly run these pallets off. They were taking 6 minutes each. I was hitting.
Nice.
I left my tolerances what they were, or my stock to leaves what they were last time, and the locating features are exactly in the middle of the tolerance, which is what I expected. Like we're holding the bores are like 20 microns, so just under a thou is the positive deviation on the bores and negative zero. So it's 10 plus 25 or 20 microns, and that drops on and off easily. Repeats. I actually did the maths on this. If you put the pallet on and twist it to the side, the bottom corner will be 13 microns off of where it should be.
That's awesome.
So
That's so
worst
cool.
case, you've got a range of positive plus minus 13 microns on a 100 millimeter square pallet, which is insanely accurate. Obviously, as the bores wear and things like that happen, it's going to get worse. But then you just put a drill bush in. Problem solved.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
No, exactly.
it's
And
not
I
a
mean
yeah, it's not overcome. It's not unovercomable.
for the price of your pallets, like I mean, I think the biggest barrier to a pallet once it's machined is going to be the fixturing that a person puts into it. Like the actual pallet that you like the design that you've made for the pallet is super simple. Like if it
Oh no,
starts to wear out
super.
and your fixture
Yeah.
was simple, just bin the whole pallet, recycle it, and then just start anew because it's not
Well,
complicated. It doesn't look complicated
that's
anyways.
exactly it. Like, I don't know what the price. So we're gonna sell the pallet base, and it'll come with a pallet, and then we'll have the option to buy. packs of 3 additional pallets. I found packaging for that today. I'm going to start getting that all dialed in. And then it's either you order material yourself and buy some BT30 pull studs, or you buy the pallets from us pre-machined. And if I look at material cost on my side, I'm paying $5 for the piece of material, give or take a little bit. And I'm paying $2.50 for a pull stud. I can literally use it once and throw it in the bin. It's cheaper than a set
Right.
of
Yeah.
soft jaws. And
Yeah.
I put on, it's a bit sketchy sharing it, the Carline tiny vise clamps. It's kind of basically what the Sanders Machine Works modular vices used to be, and what they're based on, where it's a countersunk screw. Those little clamps are patented by Carline. I have a model. I modeled them. I machined my
Mm.
own. I can't sell them because patents, but I've got M4, M6, M8. I've got a whole bunch that I make a bunch every time I need. And next time I'm just going to salami slice them off. So machine the thing, salami slice, next one, and just make a whole lot of stock. And then I use them in my fixtures. And if they're made out of aluminium, they don't mar my alley parts. Like super, super easy. Instead of buying Mighty Bites, because those are brutally expensive, they have their place. Like you get much more gripping strength out of a Uniforce than you do out of one of these Carline clamps, because the Carline clamp is you're putting all the force against the threads in the hole, which less than ideal, but for second ops and like light work holding, they work perfectly. They don't hold round things very well if you go at them with a half-feed mill, though. I learned this the hard way multiple times. But in that case, I just use the Mighty Bite Uniforces and it works. They're just a bit expensive. Like by far, the most expensive thing is going to be your work holding on these pallets.
Yeah, when I think your pallets. I was looking at other pallet systems, and then we started talking. And I was like, "Oh, your pallet system sounds about perfect." And that's honestly one of my keys for this year too, because I have some products and some items that I'm making that are going to be a absolute nightmare to load and unload with huge run times. So it's like, well, yeah, if I can have something where I can just quick swap it in and out of the machine, like that's going to make a massive difference of being able to run, 2-3 hours, and then the load up might take me half an hour, but
Yeah,
who cares
but
if
the
the machine is
spindle's
running?
running. Yeah, no,
Exactly.
that's exactly it. I've got sets of pallets for one of the recurring jobs we do where the cycle time is only 3.5 minutes, but the reload is 2 minutes. So while one's running, I'm reloading. As soon as it stops, 15 seconds, we're running again. Like the 15 seconds is just blowing the thing off so that I don't put coolant everywhere. And 15 seconds, the machine's running again, and I'm unloading and loading, and I'll run through. It's 9 parts at a time, and I can run through 500 parts in not even an afternoon. Like I put a podcast on and I just grind through it quickly. Um,
Hmm.
like that's where I see the value, because I was doing those in a fixture that just went in a vase, but then it's 3 parts at a time, and the machine stands while you change it. Even today, the video that I'm busy editing of the little clamp, the little latches that I had to machine a pocket into. Previously, I did it in a soft jaw, but by the time I'd machined a soft jaw, I may as well have made a pallet. And then the pallets I run 8 at a time, and it takes 36 seconds to machine 8 parts. Now I get
Right.
in that case, I didn't make a second pallet. I just made one because I only have to do 100 parts. So even if it takes me 2 minutes to reload, it's fine. Like I can still burn through the parts really, really quickly.
Yeah. Well, and then you also have like when you're offline loading and the machine is running, it's like it's so much less stressful. Like you're just like, oh, I can
Oh
take my
yes,
time. I can make sure I don't make mistakes. You're not sitting there and be like, I should be going. I got to make more parts.
yeah.
I got to load faster. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. It's just like da 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 da. Like you said, you can listen to your podcast. You can just take your time.
Well, I took a whole bunch of pictures. They're going on the website probably tomorrow. I put up my tripod, put the camera, used my phone as a remote trigger so that the photos are exactly aligned with all my different palettes that I have,
Oh, pretty.
so that I can make a GIF of it. So it just swaps palettes like in a
Oh,
GIF.
that's cool.
Yeah, like more effort than was needed got put into that. Um, but with that, I've only got one palette for doing the mag bases I do for the CZ PO7 and PO9, for the Glock 19, for the STR base. I've only got one of each palette, but I run up one in my 2 self-centering vices, stack all those parts, throw the pallets in, drop them in, and hit go, and that's it. It's just quickly I can put it in, and I know that it's already set up, it's already programmed with the same work offset, and I can just quickly load in that work holding instead of I used to machine soft jaws, or I'd machine a ledge on soft jaws and then put a stopper and then probe, and then I'd deck it, probe it again because now I can reach around the top hat. Like it just makes life easy when the pallets are as cheap as they're going to be.
No, totally. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
love that idea. I think it'll do well.
Yeah, I hope so. Like I was chatting to Justin today from Toolpath. He's like, these things are going to sell like hotcakes. I'm like, I hope so, because now
Yeah.
the logistics problems begin with that.
Yeah. Well,
That's the
I think,
problem.
that dovetails perfectly into what you're doing now and what you want to be doing next. But I
Yeah.
think, if that takes off, I think it will. Like, I think you're just knowing what you're shooting for a price point.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna take a large portion of the market, because I think a lot of people are in that same, like, the boat you're shooting
Well,
for is like they have a hobby-ish machine or a small
yes.
light industrial, and they're just looking for like a decent 0 point system, repeats well, and doesn't have just stupid complicated or expensive pallets.
Well, that's the expensive pallets things is where it's at. I mean, looking at some of the competitors on the market, looking at their hardware cost per pallet, excluding the pallet, just the hardware. So the guide bushes and the retaining units, and it's like $60. I'm like,
Hmm.
sorry, what now? I need $60 per pallet. Like, no, not gonna fly. Like, this is designed to be like on the website. It's actually called out as ultra low pallet cost, and that's what it's meant to be. Is you can afford to have 10 or 20 or 30 pallets on the shelf, and you're not tying up thousands of dollars in that. Well, maybe you
Yeah,
are
well,
if you
not
put fancy mighty bots, but you're not. Yeah, you're not tying up hundreds and hundreds of dollars on pallets.
Well, and that's where you'll like. I think that's where you'll get a lot of footing with like the job shop guys. Like, because for production, like, honestly, if I set up a system and I do production and my pallet costs me $100, that's fine, because I'm going to
Doesn't
run
matter.
that
Yeah,
pallet a billion times. But if you have like a small, like, 20 part, run of job shop work, like, you're not going to want to justify or
no,
sink, maybe you will, but like $100 or whatever, for a pallet, it's like, eh, like,
yeah,
to just use once and then potentially have no other use for it. It's like, nah, I'll pass. Like, I'll
yeah.
just make
No,
soft jaws and onesie twosie it.
that's exactly it. Or even in like in your case, the pallets are small, but the parts you make are small as well. You could have a pallet that runs your entire month's production of the
Right.
screws. Like one
Exactly.
pallet, you just slap it in and hit go, and it's got a repeatable reference that when you need to make them, you throw it in, you hit go, and it's done.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, enough selling the pallet system. Let me get into what my goals are for the coming year. So I think
Hmm.
for us, the first thing on the books is going to be a new lathe. I love Big Bertha, but Big Bertha's getting it's becoming the limiting factor. So I don't take on big tool and die work anymore. Like I'm not actually interested. I've got a guy who's interested in buying Bertha from me when I eventually decide to sell Bertha. And then I
Hmm.
want to put in a lathe. The lathe I was looking at is a Sano gang lathe with the C-axis and live tooling.
Nice. Nice.
And that the C-axis live tooling may actually be a major factor. Like I was going to option it without that to be a little bit cheaper. But if I put C-axis and live tooling, I need two tools. I could probably do it with one tool if I was really clever. The pad for the pallet system can then be done in one machine and one op
Oh,
because everything
nice.
can get hit from one side. So then I can do
Right.
it in a single op, and it heats out the machine and this goes to heat treat, comes back and gets ground. So yeah, that is the goal for this year, is to definitely look at putting another lathe in, because right now Danica has to sit and pull a bar forward every 3 minutes or 4 minutes. And I would like that to be a little bit faster and a little bit not her involved. Um, but my lathe takes so long to stop, and I'm actually out of X travel to put a bar puller. And on top of that, shaving's become a problem. So, like, the lathe is the next thing. And then I also have done plans afoot to, if need be, put down another mill, namely an X5.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, because it'll still fit in the current workshop. There's also my architect friend is drawing up the plans for my new workshop in our front yard. But
Right.
that, like he pointed out, that's potentially risky, because if your neighbor gets the knock with you and decides to report you, I'm like, nope, not a problem. I have residential zoning with consent to run a business. Don't know how I got
Oh,
it,
nice.
but they can't
Oh,
take it away.
nice.
So yeah, we
Oh,
got
that's
lucky with that
sick.
one.
Yeah.
Well, we got unlucky and lucky. We ended up with a huge rates bill because apparently we're running a business from the property, and that means no more um, discounted rates for my mother-in-law being nearly flipping 80 because the house is still in her name. So we were getting 100% rebate. And then they just hit us with 3 years back rates. So
Ye-
that's, yeah, building a sports car garage in the front yard is also on the books, but we'll see when that happens. That is a cash deal. Like I need cash in the bank account before I start that. I need enough in the bank account that I can finish the project without worrying at all. Like just build a cash, get it done as fast as possible, and then that'll be big enough to have a lathe with a bar feeder and a couple mills in it.
That'd be
But yeah,
sick. Yeah, it sounds.
that's yeah. Well, I mean, I was doing the maths today on the pallet systems and the quantities that if we move the quantities we're hoping, the tax is going to be exciting because yeah, they're going to want money from me.
Yeah, that's how it tends to
Yeah.
work.
Well,
It's nice when you're not making money.
it's compared to all the other stuff we do. Like we move a good couple thousand parts a month. Most of those parts are not even a dollar.
Right.
So a lot of the stuff we do a lot of stuff through the workshop, but nothing that's single high value items. Whereas the pallet system is going to be single high value items. Someone orders one, yeah, it's going to add up very quickly. Not that that's a bad thing. It just means we have to be better at bean counting.
Yeah. Yeah, no
Yeah,
doubt.
and
Well, that's,
deal
I mean,
with yeah.
especially if you're making money, that's a nice time to buy machines then too.
Yes. No, no. Then
Help
machines
offset that.
start. Yeah, 100%. Then machines start coming in. Projects start happening that the government doesn't want as much money from me. Because as it
Yeah.
is, we're registered as a small to medium enterprise, which means any profits under. I'm trying to think of the maths here. I think it's the first about $3,000 of profit doesn't get taxed for the year. Then only above that gets taxed. So like I make sure my profits are low. It's
Right. Yeah.
a
No, that makes sense. That's kind of
ongoing
a everyone.
challenge. Yeah, like
Yeah,
you don't want
that's
to give the
that's
government
it.
anything.
No, and that's the world I'm slowly flowing into. Like it was nice at the start because like I would just expense like my expenses were insane and my profit was nothing. So it'd be like end of the year, be like, all right, I've made a bunch of improvements, but I've essentially made nothing. Which I
Yeah,
mean, I and planned on at work, but it makes your taxes really simple. And now when it's like, okay, now I'm actually generating some income, so it's like, okay, time to it makes looking at machines a little bit easier too.
yeah,
Help
no,
offset some of that.
definitely. Yeah, no, well, definitely. Like you've got to take advantage of all the systems that are in place. Like they're there for a reason to incentivize you to buy equipment and grow. But as we're saying, neither of us really want to grow too much more. Like
No, yeah, exactly.
yeah, it was pointed out to me, why don't I take the money I'm going to spend on building my new workshop and just put a deposit or pay for a industrial premises, because I can probably buy industrial premises for maybe 50% more than what I'm going to spend on my workshop. But then I've got to get in my vehicle and drive there every day. Got to pay for security, got to pay rates, got to pay water, got to pay lights. It's all these extra things that you don't think of straight away that start adding up that make it okay, cool. What I'm paying for rent here is effectively free compared to industrial space.
Yeah, or I
So
mean,
yeah,
or positive because you could probably write portions of it off, right?
I
So
write off all of my rent here.
yeah, so your money, you're far
My
more money
rents,
ahead.
yeah, my rental agreement is that the business rents the garage from my mother-in-law. I just
Yeah,
happen to live
yeah.
in the house for free. That is our actual rental agreement is that we rent the garage from her.
No,
JSpec
that makes
Engineering
sense.
rents the garage. What happens in the house has fuck all to do with that.
Yeah, I
Although
mean, this is.
that's now going to become the packing area in the house, which my wife's going to love.
I know we're in the same boat here. Is like I'm lucky enough that I have a lot of industrial space around me. I mean, I can
Yeah,
get an industrial space fairly easily, but same thing. I like being able to walk down 3 steps and be in the shop. And like
yeah.
it's super convenient. I can run machines. If I have a great idea in the middle of the night, like I soundproof this entire place, I can machine at 2 in the morning and nobody knows what I'm doing. Like sometimes that's a nice thing to be able to do.
Or even my new shop. I was chatting to my mother-in-law about this whole thing, and I'm friends with every neighbor except the one closest to where the new workshop would be. And quite frankly, I'll just insulate that wall. I'll spend the extra money and insulate it that I'm not going to cause a problem there. And then I can run all night. Like my goal is to have a lathe with a bar feeder and let it run all night. Why must I stand there? Run stuff at night. Like that is the goal. That's yeah. So this year I'm trying to lean in towards automation of small components because if all goes to plan this year, my one customer who's currently taking up about, I think on average, it's about, well, through the year on average, it's about 40% of our business, of our capacity goes to them. And I'm very wary of letting them get above like 50, 60% of our capacity. They are talking about doubling their orders from last year. And I
Ooh.
said to my wife, if that's the case, yeah, we can double their quantity. We can do it in 8 days. It's a non-issue to hit those numbers with our current equipment. But then I want to get more equipment so that they for now go to 60%, but in 3 months' time they're back down to 40%, and we're just doing an extra 20% worth of work that we're getting from someone else. We just have extra capacity that we're not having all our eggs in one basket, because the all in one basket thing is a quick way to go out of business.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
like my thought on that is, oh, cool. These guys want more things. We'll just have more capacity, because like now they want to double what they did last year with their current things, and then we've got another two or three things we're developing with them that are going to go into production later in the year, and then all of a sudden that's a large portion of my capacity all on one customer, and I've got other customers that are still going to want stuff done. So then, yeah, more machines. I like machines. My wife claims that
Customer.
my workshop is Mary Poppins' workshop. Every time she thinks it's full, I fit another machine.
That's the way. That's the way.
Yeah.
So outside of that, what about machine or like finishing? Do you have any like bottlenecks in finishing that you would run into with, let's say you brought on a new lathe and popped another mill in. What about
You can
finishing?
see my face right now, can't you? So my tumbler has been a huge bottleneck for me. I've got a little Lyman, I don't even know, 3000 or whatever. It's a little reloading tumbler. And
Like a little
it's
vibrator,
worked.
yeah.
Yeah, it's done thousands of parts. But now, this month, I'm expecting a PO from a customer. They want 100 samples. That means I need to tumble 500 parts. So on 100 assemblies, I have to tumble 500 parts. Last batch, I could do 20 pieces every hour.
Okay.
So I'm like, no, not happening.
Yeah.
I got an email today that my laser cutting is ready. I designed a new tumbler, like a Mr. Debo, and ordered stainless steel for the actual tub and all the laser cut steel bits. My friend who does my fabrication has organized the steel tubing for me, and then I'm going to go through there and weld it together. I bought a big concrete vibrator motor, which says 300 watts, but is definitely not. It blew up a 400 watt VFD on Saturday evening. I wired it up,
Okay.
plugged it in, was running production. Plug it in, turn it on. VFD blows because I turned it on. It started hopping around the floor, the motor. So I hit the off button, and then obviously the back EMF just popped this VFD. So I've got a 750 watt, but I don't want to sacrifice it to this motor. So I'm going to go pick up. I've got a customer I sold my old manual lathe to, and that had a VFD on it, and they've got three phase. Like, just come put a panel, please. They'll pay for the panel, two contactors, a transformer, and just put it back to three phase. So I'm like, yeah, I'll come do that. I want my VFD back. So I'm going to go sort that out for them later in the week. And then I've got a 1.5 kilowatt VFD for that. So I've been building out replacement. Like, I was chatting to my wife about this because she's giving me a bit of trouble because our cash flow going into the end of last year was really bad because I kept upgrading things. Like,
Yeah.
just constantly buying tools, buying equipment, and a little bit over the top, to be honest. Like, I shouldn't have done some of the things I did, but you live and you learn. So now, like the tumbler this month, I bought new tumbling media, found a supplier for that locally. I was paying $12 a kilogram. So what's that? $6 a pound. I found
Roughly.
another
Yeah.
supplier, and they do 25 kg bag for $1,200. So it was 44 Rand a kilogram. So $2.20 per kilogram.
No,
So
that's
like a
very inexpensive. Yeah.
like super cheap. So I bought a 25 kg. I've used it now. put it in the tumbler. Had a bit of funny stuff go on where the tumbling media just went grey. Like I tumbled a few parts, it was fine. Ran a whole bunch of little parts, and the tumbling media just got full of the dust. So
Hmm.
I took my parts out, threw in some bits of tool steel with sharp edges, put some soap, and just let it tumble till it was fresh again. And then
Hmm.
I've been running soap since, and it's been running actually really, really well in my little tumbler. But yeah, big tumbler is going to come online in the next week or two, and then I have capacity because that is the thing. Finishing becomes the limiting factor. And
Yeah.
these parts, uh, was tumbling them, sending them out tumbled. Now I'm going to tumble them, get them powder coated, and then laser off some of the powder coating to let their branding be silver on the black powder coat because they want the black and silver aesthetic, but they don't have the budget to anodize the parts
Mhm.
because the guys want to charge us $1 racking fee, and there's in that case there were 5 components I wanted to anodize, and the whole assembly is $5. Like I'm
Yeah. It's
literally
spendy.
competing
Yeah.
against China.
Yeah.
I asked the guys, "What are you paying from China?" Oh, cool, I'll match that. That's how I got the work, and I can easily match it and make more than my average shop rate because I have LK and it's really fast.
Yeah. No, exactly. No,
But yeah,
I only
that
bring that up
that
because
is that is one of the things that I want to automate is running those parts because they've got a 30 something second cycle time. And right now, my pallets, I can fit 30 pieces on the machine, but that still gives me only 15 minutes of walk away. So I want to automate, put a parts loader in the machine that I can load 150 or 200 parts and go to bed.
that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. No, I brought that up because I know like that's one of my bottlenecks too is finishing, and that's probably if I'm going to
Yeah.
buy any machines. Like I looked at I have a quote for a vapor hone, so
Ooh.
I will probably pick up a vapor hone in the next I don't know 6 months or so. Um,
Okay.
just seems like I
And
don't know. I do. Go ahead.
do you still tumble a lot of stuff?
I do basically everything now, like bead blast, like really fine glass bead. I'd like to do Zerk blasting, but I was like, you know what? If I'm going to do blasting, I'm gonna go try Vapor Hone because Vapor Hone is super delicate. Like you can make it very soft, you can get incredible finishes, and there's no dust. So I can bring like I keep everything downstairs in like a big
So,
sealed room. Go ahead.
vapor, what is that using as the media? Is that dry ice as the media?
No, it's actually just like glass bead, or like you can use whatever kind of media you want, but it's with water. So they have water
Oh,
and it blasts your part with water. So everything is done underwater in like a big, essentially like a sandblasting cabinet
okay.
style
So effectively
unit.
a water jet.
Yeah, so then you can filter all
Yeah.
your water coming off. So that's how you get keep from. I hate abrasive dust. I have my blasting cabinets downstairs in like a sealed room that's vented just to keep the dust out of the shop up here. But yeah, I would really like to try vapor honing because it's just a little more friendly to the work I do. And then a tumbler exactly because like I've used I built a little rotary tumbler like I don't know
I have a
years ago.
YouTube video of the one I built. It's very
Yeah,
aptly named. That thing
yeah.
ran. It ran this week. It's full of literal rocks. I went to the garden center and bought gravel, and I use it
Mhm.
for taking stainless steel parts from laser cutting. Throw them in there with the gravel, let it tumble for 2 hours, and they come out perfectly slag removed, nicely rounded corners. It worked. Well, mine now doesn't have a wiper motor anymore. It's now got a stepper
Mm.
motor going through a 7-to-1 gearbox, just because I had it laying around.
Yeah, like I've
But
definitely put hundreds and hundreds, and if not thousands of hours on my little tumbler. So I think I'm gonna go two ways. I'm gonna get like a nice big, I think they're called like not centrifugal because I think that's a different style, but just the big tub ones where you see they look like a tornado, and
oh
you
yeah,
can
those
dump
are
all your parts in there.
centrifugals. Yeah,
Are
they're
those
the
centrifugals? I thought
centrifugal disc. Hang on, I'll look it up now.
because there's another one they have
Because
like little pods that kind of go into like a 3 stage thing that spins it and then rotates the parts as well. Those are super cool. High energy. Those are high energy ones. Yeah,
yeah, those are the
that's what I'm
high
saying.
energy ones. Yeah.
I'd love to get one of
Uh,
those, but those are not cheap.
no, they are very much not cheap. These are called. Oh no, go away. South African website. Strike again. Things moving. Yeah, centrifugal disc is the
Yeah,
type of tumbler, I believe. Wow, this website's amazing. I clicked on it and I have a background picture from their landing page. The
nice.
epitome of South African websites. Yeah,
So yeah,
I have a.
I'm either gonna go with one of those, or I'm gonna go with a gang of just a bunch of like little rotary tumblers, just like buy like 6 of them.
I've
And
got
I don't know which way I want to go yet.
I've got a lineman tumbler. So I have way too many tumblers. I've got the lineman vibratory tumbler for reloading. I've then got a lineman tornado drum tumbler that it's got quite a big drum. I put brass parts in there with stainless steel pins, and they come
Hmm.
out burnished, like shiny as hell. It's amazing.
Hmm.
Like you throw
Hmm.
tarnished parts in there, they come out shiny. Uh, then I've got my one that I built out of a chlorine buckets and rocks, and now I'm building a Mr. Debo style one. But that's mostly so I can have high throughput. Like that's the main reason for the new one.
Yeah, when I actually a few months ago I built I took two vibratory tumblers and I bought like some really nice ceramic media in different grits so I could try doing some nice because I'm like, you know what, vibratory is supposed to be the most efficient method of tumbling compared to everything else. And like actual rotary tumbling is nice, but some of my parts, like if you have too many parts in there, they start whacking into each other and you get all kinds of weird problems and
Yeah.
corners rounding over. And like
So
I want a gentle method of tumbling
yeah,
without
I learned
dropping parts.
you cannot put aluminium in a rotary tumbler. It
That
doesn't
makes
work.
sense. Yeah.
The parts fall
Yeah.
into each other and they just stuff each other up like ridiculously fast.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's the thing with titanium is like titanium, like unless you're hitting it with ceramic media, it just like it laughs at everything. Like you
Yeah,
can tumble it for days and like something that's and it's just like, oh yeah, it's very uh resistant to abrasion. So anyways,
yeah. I
that's
remember
probably one of
running
my
mine
worlds.
through my green media and it did nothing. After like a day,
Yeah.
it did nothing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a goof. I was gonna try. I was like, you know what? I want to see what just walnut shell does to, like if I blast apart and then put it in walnut. I wanted to see what it would do. And it just like it's like, oh, all it did is just like mixed up the walnut for 8 hours. It was like, yeah, of course
Yeah,
it's gonna do nothing.
yeah, it's going
So
to do absolutely nothing. But yeah, no, that's the thing. Like it's easy to make parts, but it's getting them from coming off the machine to ready to go out the door that is the time consuming part.
absolutely,
Well,
especially when you start getting machines that are a little bit quicker. It's just like, okay, now, yeah, I can make way more than I can finish. So
yeah. So you planning on investing in your finishing side of things?
absolutely, yeah. I just don't know which
And
way I
you
want to go. I mean, vapor hone's nice, and there are ways to slightly automate it, but for the most part, it's still a fairly manual process.
have
So
you seen Danny Rudolph on
all the time,
Instagram
yo, absolutely, I
with
love his
his
stuff.
UR robots putting the parts
Mm-hmm.
in the thing? I'm like, yes. Like that wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
be incredibly hard to build a machine that just does that.
No, no, not at all.
Mm.
No, and like I know
Simple robot.
he has a nice arm, and he has made a little holes in the blasting cabins to do
Yeah,
blasting, and like, yeah, I love that stuff. I would definitely like to get into that. But I mean,
it's one
honestly,
of
for
yeah.
most of my work, like I could put it in like a rotating bucket inside of a vapor hone, and that would work pretty well.
That would do
So,
the trick. Because yeah, I'm now looking to automating stuff. I had a look at the Haas APL systems; they're hilarious.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but it also enlightened me into a different method. So this has evolved a lot from building a full-on robot arm to then building a gantry with a SCARA arm to now just building a full-on bloody gantry that moves in. So if you're looking at the machine, it would move in X by say 300, 400 millimeters. It would move in Z, and I would actually have a bed that moved in Y. So I could stack material basically like your normal part loading setup where you got a grid with your material. The arm would come over, grab the part, go to the spot, drop through the bottom of the floor because this now would obviously be raised above the table to the one side. Put the parts in the vise, come up and machine and load parts like that. And then I could also just have a rack with a cylinder that pushes the part to the same place. But I just haven't been committed enough to this idea to actually model it up yet. But yeah, I mean, I did the calculations. I could probably automate this with 6 M codes. I could make it work. I'm obviously going to go and build a full gantry, but yeah, could do it with 6 M codes.
Yeah. Well, then that's also the balance of like, do you want to do it because you want to do it, or like, do you want to do it because it'll be beneficial to production going forward? Like that's the struggle I
That's
always hit. I know that much.
yes. No, that's exactly it. Like I can stand at the machine and I can run the parts I need to run at the moment. To run 100 parts is going to take me an hour and a half. But when that becomes, I need to run 1,000 parts, it's a different conversation. I don't want to stand at the machine for multiple days that I could do that while I'm asleep.
Right.
But yeah,
I
then
know
it
that's
becomes, it's also a situation of you've now got to have automatic work holding. Automatic work
yeah,
holding is not easy. Or
yeah. Well, I know
it
that's
is
my
easy if you have money. If you want to do it
yeah. Well,
cheaply, it's not easy.
a lot of things in the world get easier with money.
Yes.
I know
Like,
that was
yeah. Yeah, sorry.
I'll say the one thing I was struggling with, or like trying to put too much thought into, is fourth. Like I do so much fourth axis work. That I was like, I
Yeah.
need to find, like, I want to find a way where I can automate fourth axis loading, because like if you're doing fourth axis work, you're doing it on a rotary center, so like you can't you can't gang up parts. If you need to spin a part on its axis, you can't have, like, unless you want to stack them in line, but that presents other problems. But like you can't have 10
Yeah.
parts on a rotary and spin them 360 and access all sides. So I was like, okay, well, what's a fast way for me? It's pen bodies. What's a fast way to load pen
Yeah.
body? And I have a pretty good system. It's a mandrel system, but it's still like I have to load the part. And if I get the machining down, like, to a point, where it's, let's say, 10 minutes per part, it's like I
Yeah.
still have to interact with it every 10 minutes. Like, though that kind of part loading, it for me has been difficult to try to solve. And then I realized, I'm like, that's not the nut to crack right now. Cause like, yeah, maybe I'll burn an entire day doing all my fourth axis work, but it's like, it's
Yeah.
going to take me weeks to figure out an automated system. And like, I will, by the time I make the benefits up in time, like, it's just, there's other fruit. There's lower hanging fruit.
Yeah. There's lower hanging fruit. But when you want to do that, I know a guy. I assume your
Okay.
rotary has a through bore.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I know a guy. Um, you can pneumatically grip that thing. Then you just need to load and unload. I also know a company called Gimbal Automation that do spindle grippers.
Hmm.
So you could literally pneumatically grip. So you make yourself, you don't have to make a custom chuck mandrel type story with a bar going
Mm-hmm.
right through your fourth and a
Mm-hmm.
cylinder on the back with the rotary
Mm-hmm.
union. Or you just have to be good about unwinding. If you're good about unwinding, you don't even need a rotary union. And then basically
Right.
you have the gripper put the thing on, pneumatically clamp it, do your milling, grab it, unclamp, pull it off, put it in a rack, take the next one.
Hmm.
Obviously, you're going to spend a bunch of time doing this, but
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
you're going to
No.
spend it once and you're going to reap the benefits on an ongoing basis.
Yeah. Until I changed my design, I no longer need it. That's like always my
Yes.
concern. It's just like design
And
myself
then when
out
you
of the
want,
nice fixture.
when you want to do it the next time, you've already got a base to work from.
That's
But
a
yeah, I
that's a
do.
nice enabler.
Yes, I'm very good at enabling stupid ideas. Well, I mean, I made something similar for doing the electrical connectors I do, where it's I machined effectively a pullback ER collet. So it's an ER16 body or extension shaft. I machined the rear taper of that, threaded the end, slits it with a hacksaw, and then it's got a hole in the front. So I screw my part in and then pneumatically pull it back. That my part is gripped. I do my slitting, it releases, I unscrew the part, screw the next one in, and go. And that works shockingly well. I need to still build a dedicated machine for that operation, but it's also like it's going to take me 2 days to build a dedicated machine. Right now, if I need to do 500 parts, I do them in an afternoon,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. No,
I only
exactly.
want 500 at a time. So, I mean, I actually need to do stock take tomorrow. I'm sitting with well over a month. So, this customer, if they don't place, so they wanted a 30-day account. If they don't place an order with me, I deliver 100 of everything, whether they want it or not. That was the agreement to having an account. So I've got a month's supply of stock on my shelf, short of all the small components. The big stuff I still make to order, but all the small stuff, you don't place an order, I deliver you 100 of everything. So I'm trying to get through it. Like the material cost is next to nothing. So if the machine's standing, I may as well run parts. Um, but I'm sitting now, like we wanted to do a design revision on one of the components. I'm like, cool. In 300 parts, you can have your design revision because I have 300 parts that I've made, and when they are done, you will get your new version.
Right. Yeah.
Like, because yeah, they don't have drawings. It's my favorite. I have drawings. I'm willing to sell them said drawings, but they don't have drawings.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's actually just this week I noticed with January and the year changing is like batch production versus like kind of just in time production. So for a lot of my
Yeah,
packaging, I'd be like, you know what, I know this is good. I'm going to use this all year. So I was like, I would batch just huge because I do a lot of laser cutting and
yeah,
just like sticker printing and just stuff where it's just like, well, that's one thing I'm going to outsource is some sticker printing. Upsides point. do a lot of package batch work, and then I just on this last batch, I'm like, oh, I still have a ton of these stickers now. I'm like, oh yeah, they all say 2024 on them. So I'm like, okay, well, those are all
Oh,
just in the gar. I mean, I could use them. Like I definitely did use a few for like friends and family kind of stuff, but like
yeah,
I'm like, stickers are dirt cheap. Like I'll just throw them out and just print new. So just like it's kind of one of those things where it's like I'm sure glad I don't have like 1,000 of them to go through. So I had to bin
yeah.
a few of them, but it's like that's always the balance between huge batch and
So
one piece.
when we went to IMTS, my lovely wife made a whole bunch of South African related stickers, which were quite entertaining. Um, but she's got a lady who does stickers. They're not the cheapest, but they hang on, let me. This is going to be complicated to calculate. They're roughly 90 cents, South African cents, per sticker. So I'm going to go 0.9 divide by, call it 19. Okay, cool. So they're like 5 US cents per sticker.
Wow. Wow.
And that's like, oh, cool. I want 10 of these, please. Like not have to order 1,000. I want 10.
Wow.
So like now that's going to be the next thing I've got to deal with is all the stickers and packaging for the pallet system.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm trying to find out what foam is called. Like I want about 10 millimeter thick foam. The white
Mm.
stuff that comes in like monitor packaging and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Cannot find what it's called. Cannot find a supplier locally. I'm going to obviously try a bit harder.
Mhm.
But I found boxes that will fit the pallet system nicely. I'm either going to design cardboard inserts or I'm going to design laser cut foam inserts. Obviously, foam
Yeah.
inserts not as eco-friendly. I don't really care about the environment. I live in Africa, but cardboard is probably a better option. And I have a laser cutter, so I can just laser cut the stuff as I want.
Yeah. Well, and
It's
that's why I
just
moved away. Like I
yeah,
did a ton of laser cut foam as well, and
yeah,
I moved
me
away from it for
neither.
two reasons. One was because like yeah, why do I want to just add a bunch of trash to the world? But the second one was storing foam is like way harder than just storing like if I can laser cut card like I use a lot of cardstock, so I laser cut the
Yeah,
cardstock and then origami fold it into like a 3D shape where it's like I can store 5,000 sheets of cardstock in one cubic foot. If I want to
yeah.
store the equivalent in foam, it's like a room.
Well, I mean, I did my belt back in the day, and that went with foam inserts. I still have sheets of foam. They're holding my printer up right now. My printer's on a piece of granite on the foam to dampen vibration. I mean,
Yeah.
but the problem is that my issue with that is it discolors and breaks down over time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one of the logistic things I'm thinking of pulling with the pallet system is I've got a friend in the UK who does my distribution for the frame lock utility knives. So I'm thinking of sending over like 10 pallets to him, 10 pallet systems and like 20 pallets. And then marking that as that's how much stock I have on my website. And then he can ship with Royal Mail from there.
Mm-hmm.
So it brings the shipping costs down because shipping out of South Africa, I got a quote today to ship a single pallet system to Australia. And it was $350 shipping.
Whoa. Yeah, it's up
I'm
there.
sure I'm sure I can get it cheaper, but it was ridiculous. So I'm looking at potentially going that route of just either getting on a plane and flying to England to deliver the stuff or sending a big box, costs an arm and a leg, but I send over 10 systems at a time and have them distributed there to the rest of the world. And then
Mm-hmm.
AJ and I have had a chat about him distributing in the US and Canada for me.
That's nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, obviously he's going to make a buck on it, which is like expected. He's going to do a bunch of legwork on it. So
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, like nothing's for free, and I don't mind. Like if I sell it from the UK, it's going to be sold at the same price from both of us. So if it
Mm-hmm.
goes from the UK, I'll just make a bit of extra bucks on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but we'll
that's kind of the one extra complication that you have that not a lot of people have to
yeah.
really deal with. So
No, it's insane to ship out of South Africa. I mean, I used to send I used to send knives via a company called Courier It, and that was $60 to send a little box. When I sent
wow.
my belts over for the kicks to fulfill the Kickstarter, I sent a box that was maybe a foot and a half cubed, and that cost me like $400.
Wow.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was brutal, absolutely brutal. So like, yeah, if I can avoid shipping packaging materials, I'm going to avoid it. But the things have to get there in good shape as well. So I found nice boxes that are just bigger than the thing, so I can make cardboard inserts that fold around it and origami it together. Because the pallet system will come with the base, the pipes to hook up the base, and the valve and all that stuff. So it'll be a complete set when you get it. So I've got a plan to be able to ship that.
Mm-hmm.
Logistics is not for the faint of heart.
No, not at
No.
all.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah. I mean, you must have a field day shipping stuff all over the world. At least your postal
Yeah.
service works.
Yeah, I mean that's advantage. Like, yeah, our postal service going out of here is a little bit more expensive than if I were to ship out of the States.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I have access to like every single carrier. It's dependable. Like, I've, knock on wood, I don't think I've lost a single package, and I've shipped like thousands of packages. So yeah, it's a good
That's
system. I'm
impressive.
happy with
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I must say the Royal Mail works well. It's just the only annoying thing now. I can't ship a tracked parcel via a post box. My mate has to go to the post office, which
Mm,
is a bit inconvenient. He used to literally just give it to the lady at work as she came past with the
right.
post. But now he's got to go to the post office. But that's fine. I mean, he ships my orders. I pay him a percentage to ship my orders, and it means I can reach the rest of the world without having to ship directly out of South Africa.
Yeah. No, that seems like a smart way to go.
Yeah, like I'll have a chat to him and his missus about that, because I think it might be an option for servicing Europe and servicing Australia and things like that. Like shipping from the US to Europe is going to potentially be problematic.
Yeah.
No,
No.
so try
It's
and
going to be all
try and
kinds
cut
of
that out.
problematics there right now, but
Yeah, I
that's
know.
a story for a different day.
I was told to leave that topic alone today.
Yeah,
Like,
we don't need
yeah,
we don't need to be a political podcast.
no, shit's about to get interesting. But yeah. Cool. So let's. So I think that basically covers both of our plans for the show. What we're planning on investing in and putting our effort towards.
I think so. Yeah,
So I think in a nutshell, I want more machines, and you want more finishing things.
yeah. I think we just both want more efficiencies and
Yeah.
more
Those
opportunity
are
to
the.
play with things we like to do.
Yeah, I think those are for both of us are the easiest place to find those efficiencies. Like, and
Absolutely.
constant improvement.
Yeah, That's the name of the game, right?
Yeah, I actually had someone reach out and say that I said the words they never thought I would utter. I said lean.
Who?
I'm like, yeah, lean generally, like when you think of a lean shop, you think of a clean, well organized shop, not the explosion that is my workshop. But I'm trying to move towards being organized. It's a slow and steady march. Like it's just every day improve some, like 2 second lean. Every day make a small improvement. I
Yeah.
went to try and buy tubs to organize. Or I want to make process bins for all the recurring jobs. So their pallets go in there. Any tools like Allen keys, T handles for that job go in that box that I don't have to look for them when I want to run the job. And I went to go buy them and they had no stock. They're getting stock this week. So I'm going to go buy like another 30 of those things and move all my stuff into specific process bins that it's not laying around there. If it means I must have 15 T handles, then I'll have 15 T handles. I've got a 3D printed version. I print them out. I buy actually a cheap Allen key, but made in Germany. They're really good Allen keys. Screw it together and it's dedicated to that job. It goes in and out of the box when I run the job because my one fixture requires a square-ended Allen key. If you use one of the ball ones, it just strips the screws. So I
Mm-hmm.
want to have the correct thing that I'm not going around for 10 minutes looking for the correct thing every time.
Yeah. No, that
But
makes huge differences. I know.
yeah,
I wish I could share it. Like, so I have an Airtable that tracks like all my inventory and everything, and I wish I could share it, but like I have to share it. I have to strip out all the data, and by the
yeah,
time I strip out all the data, then it's useless to look at. So then I have to repopulate it with data, and just like, oh, tedious. But
yeah,
it's so nice because I click like I'm making, let's like for the next batch, I'll make whatever 30, 40 pens. So I'll say I make 30 pens and it just like auto calculates all my, like, you have this much stock, like you're going to have, this
oh,
much remnant.
nice.
These are all the springs, you'll need to order more. Like
Yeah,
this is the first thing you're going to run out of. After you run out of that, you're going to run out of this. After you run out of that, you're going to run out of this. And like, it was
nice.
annoying to set up. And now it's like, when I get something in, I'm just like, this is what I got in. It's whatever springs, and I got 100 of them,
Yeah.
or I got 500 of them, or whatever it is. And it's just like, oh, it's so convenient to be like, I think I have enough titanium to do this, and check it out. And it's like, oh yeah, no, I definitely do. And it's just like, that's
Well,
been game changer.
I've got a spreadsheet for the one big recurring job where I type in the quantity of things they've ordered, and it auto calculates how many. So I know that on a 3 meter length of bar, I will throw that'll cut into. No, maths is hard. 6 pieces. I will throw away 500 millimeters of that bar because throwing that away as a remnant is more reliable than trying to get pieces out of it. So I've calculated that all into my spreadsheet. I know how many parts I get per meter, and I type in, it tells me how many meters I need to order, and then it takes that and times it by 1.2, and then that's what I order for the job. And usually I'll order a little bit extra just to be on the safe side, like if it's not expensive material. But I've got a spreadsheet that does that. And now I'm starting to look at how I'm going to inventory manage the pallet system. I wanted to buy some lin bins on the weekend and I wasn't sure it was the right fit. It's the right fit because going through packets of O-rings today was infuriating. So I'm gonna buy appropriately sized lin bins, mount them to the rack that I've got, and then make covers for them so that stuff doesn't get dusty.
Yeah.
Because where I live, it's a problem. Um, and then I was actually watching one of Pearson's videos where he was saying, no, they've got these 3D printed things. They put all the screws, all the parts, they fill the thing, and then they go assemble. That if there's a part left, you've missed something. So I'm going to build out a tray like that for the pallet puck as well, or for the
Yeah.
anchor point.
Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah,
what I did with my pens. I built a little tray that goes in a little like a clear thing, and it's the
yeah,
same thing. It holds a pen, it holds the end caps, holds a spring, holds over like. And if I look in there and like, oh, right, I forgot to put that in. It's like so much less brain work.
yeah. So like my thought is have the lin bins with all the O-rings, all the screws, everything there, and then I just grab what I need, pack out the thing, and then start the assembly. Assemble, test, package, or laser engrave and package. So yeah, there's some fun things engraved. No super secret messages on these ones. I was considering like engraving on the inside of the beta units because I'm not sure if anyone's going to take them apart. So I was thinking of putting a secret message like, "What are you doing in here?" But yeah, I didn't get around to it. Because like, if someone does take it apart, there are some tricks to put it back together, like some required hardware
Yeah,
to actually be
exactly.
able to get it together. But yeah, like building out. I need to get on the inventory side of things. But that it's a lot of upfront effort for something you can't quite see the return on.
Yep.
Yeah, once it's there, you'll miss it if it's not. But
Yep.
it's not something that like big and shiny and ooh, this is an improvement. It's a back end improvement.
Yeah, mine was
But yeah,
tedious and annoying to set up, but now like year end when tax time comes, I'm like, oh, all my expenses are tracked, all my profits are tracked, like
yeah,
everything. I can just look at it and be like, yep, I know everything. Like if I have to send that to my accountant, which I'm just send it. Like I don't
yeah.
have to do any more work now. It's not like tax time where you're like, oh no, I have to
No,
figure everything out now. It's like so
yeah.
nice.
My bean counters stay on that for me because that's why I pay them. I don't.
That's smart.
Yeah, I don't do well with accounting, so I pay a bean counter. I pay him. It's not even a lot of money. It's like I think $120 a month for him
Oh, okay.
to basically keep me from going to jail. And he handles
Yeah.
all the so our value added tax system. This chair just can break. Um, I hate this chair. I'm going to set it on fire. Yeah, I think this chair just broke. Um, so our value added tax here is so as a VAT registered company, that's due every 2 months. So if I invoice, I have to add 15% value added tax, and that works on a 2 monthly cycle. So for instance, we had uh, October, November was payable at the end of December, and then December, January will be payable end of February. So they keep on that every 2 months. Like I get a nice big bill, say, hey, you need to pay the government this much money. Getting my head around, okay, I invoiced X amount minus 15% is actually what I've invoiced. The 15% was never mine. And getting my head around that has been a challenge because growing for 6 years as a one man band, if there's money in the business, I have money. And now it's a case of separating myself from that. It's not an easy task to do. It's taking it's taken 6 months and I'm still not done separating myself. But we're working towards it at least. Like we've started with profit first. We've got a spreadsheet that everything gets loaded into. It auto calculates what all the accounts should look like. so that we can, okay, cool, I haven't actually transferred the money out yet. Okay, we got money in, settle up everything, that everything is now balanced. And we'll get to the point where that happens on a daily or weekly basis. But for now, it's just keeping head above water.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it is a challenge, especially in the beginning with those kind of changes.
All right. So I think
Yeah.
good point to roll into now is what what is was it in your Google search history? I love that prompt. So I don't want to know what you've been digging into.
um, yeah, this week's been interesting. I've actually been all over the show. I was researching tumbling media, and then actually got hold of local guys who sell it. Um, Kind of been researching automatic parts loading, leading into yeah, some of the shenanigans I'm getting up to. And yeah, I think it's actually been pretty tame this week. It's mostly been that. Like nothing extra fancy. What have you been what have you been searching this week?
I've been searching for 4-inch wide water activated white tape. Super, super specific, but like water
Four
activated packing
inch.
tape.
Yeah, yeah.
It's usually like 2.7 or 2.75 or like 78 millimeters, something like that.
Okay, that's
Three
quite
inch
wide.
ish. Yeah.
Hang
That's a
on, hang
standard.
on.
Like,
You say 3 inches. That would be 76.2 millimeters.
yeah, I think it's actually 78, and I think they just round to 3 to just keep everybody on this side of the world happy. Not my
78.
side, but
Yes,
you know
that
what I
would be
mean.
3.0709.
Yeah, it's some oddball, but they just
I know
round.
you can't
Anyways,
wait for your imperializer.
oh, fantastic! It's gonna be great. So, anyways, you can get 3-inch everywhere. Like, all the
Yeah,
companies that do like branded tape. I bought a big roll of branded tape. I stopped using it because a lot of people said they want subdue packaging just for mail
yeah,
theft and whatnot. So, I just have a little like silk screened, not silk screened. It's a stamped logo on the bottom of my box. It doesn't mean anything, but if you knew what it was, you knew what it was. So I want white tape to cover my
yeah,
boxes because it would just make things so much faster. And I'm packaging enough things now that if I could get 3-inch wide isn't wide enough because I like to seal all the corners so that
yeah,
when it inevitably gets left out in the rain or something like that, there's not like I've had some boxes just get a workout and they show up like with
yeah,
no damage. So I'm like, I don't want to change the way I'm taping them up, but I don't want it to be so tedious. So, anyways, I've just been looking up for 4-inch tape. I can find it in craft, like just that kind of like cardboard colored, but I can't find it in white.
yeah.
So yeah, that's my.
Interesting.
I don't.
Can you
I don't know
find a
why.
machine to wet it?
I don't know if I'll be able to find a machine to wet 4-inch, 3-inch, yeah, all day long. But
Yeah,
4-inch, probably not. But I mean, even if I had to make like a little pull system where there's like the actual systems they make are
yeah.
not horribly complicated. Even just having 4-inch, I could go with the smaller box. That would help too. Yeah, just like
You've got a bunch of boxes, I assume.
I've got boxes I can easily get. They're convenient. I have so much lasered stuff that goes into them. Like I don't want to change that whole world. So I'm just like maybe I can just find the
Yeah.
tape, but it's like proving to be difficult. So I might just end up going with the craft colored tape and see what it looks like. Because
So
yeah,
I bought a roll of 2 inch wide eco tape, which I don't know if it is actually the water activated one. The labeling on the South African website is hot garbage as a compliment. So it's coming in. I want to use that on the pallet systems packaging. But yeah, I didn't think about it getting wet.
yeah,
So I might get some other plans afoot to sort that out because I was today this afternoon looking on the one box website, scrolling through all their die cut boxes to find one that would be an appropriate size, and I
yeah,
think I have one, but we'll have to see.
yeah. So
But yeah,
anyway,
so
that's been
you battling to find 4 inch wide tape.
4-inch wide. I
But
should just
yeah,
downside my box is what I should do, and that's probably the way I'm going to because there's a bunch of wasted airspace in my box anyways. It
yeah,
doesn't cost me anything more to ship that size box, which is why I sized it like that.
yeah,
I can downsize the box and it still doesn't really cost any different. So gives me the opportunity or the option to sell or put more pens per box. I don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah,
What I've been googling.
the boxes I found today, I've got one for the base and the pneumatics, and then I've got one for the. You can either put one pallet, two pallets, or three pallets in it with their pull
Hmm,
studs. Like
nice.
that was my planned kind of packaging arrangement. I need to seriously look into shipping options, but that's next week's problem. Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
realize we're doing audio only, so the listeners can't see me waving my hand like a dolphin. Yeah, I know that's an interesting problem you're trying to solve there. Because that is the
Yeah.
thing when you're shipping stuff, yeah, it gets a courier transfer.
Yeah.
I don't know
Well,
if
and
you've
just even
seen
like
that meme.
Oh
where it's
yeah,
Fourier transfer, courier transfer, sides kicked in.
yeah, hundred
Yeah,
percent. It's like, and even just taping up a box, like yeah, it only takes you 1 minute. It's like okay, well,
do
like
it
if you can
100
shave a
times.
minute off, yeah, if you shave a minute off, like all of a sudden you're saving hours of just the most boring work you'll ever do, just taping
Yeah.
boxes closed.
No,
So
that's, yeah, like doing one of something's easy. Doing 100 of
mhm.
something, simple tasks become tedious. Like my plan is the pallet system. I've got a small assembly area in the workshop that'll stay the assembly area, but then it's going to get taken through to the house, and our dining room will become a packaging room.
Yep.
Because yeah, if we sell 100 of them, I can pay my wife to not complain about the dining room. Like straight up,
No.
just pay her shut up money. Um, and not have to deal with that whole story. But yeah, the other
Yeah.
option for me is to send out for anodizing. But that the thought of that just hurts me
Yeah.
because I know I know it's not gonna come back right.
Oh, it's the thing. And those are the like anodizing is that one thing where it's like all the work is already put into it, and it's the make or break. Like it makes your product
They're
either be
gonna
like
Yeah, there's critical internal surfaces they're gonna rack on that. I know they're gonna rack on it, and then
yeah,
that's it. I throw it in the bin. The air bypasses because it's a rack block. Like
yeah.
yeah. So I might have to get better at anodizing. But anyway.
Well, it's
So
even like
what?
packaging. People are like, you look at packaging, like if you mess up your
Yeah,
packaging, it's like it's the first thing people see. It's the first thing they interact with. Like if it looks like garbage, they're gonna be like, oh, well, this is kind of a letdown, and they haven't even looked at the product yet. Like it's an important thing.
well, I was listening
Anyway,
to the Lean Built podcast, and Pearson was saying that they were hiring packing people, and they're like, "You have one of the most critical jobs in the business because what you do is the first thing our customer is going to see.
yep,
So you are critical to the first impression that the customer is going to have." And you're
yep,
saying they had a supplier, they wanted to get packaging made for their rotovas, and the guys like, please send one so we can do drop testing. Like we want to design packaging, and then we'll send it back to you so you can see the quality of the packaging. And the rotovas arrived, and the thing was half sticking out the packet,
yeah,
out the box. He's like, you guys are meant to have developed this thing and actually know what you're doing. And yeah, that's unfortunate. Like a lot of the time, people just don't don't care. They're there
yeah,
for the paycheck, and that is, yeah.
yeah,
Packaging is interesting because it is the first thing a customer sees,
mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
that is,
No,
yeah.
exactly.
You need to, like, I know even Grimsmo, he used to sell his knives in just a little bag, a little
Yep.
cloth bag, because you're buying the knife, you weren't buying the packaging. And then they moved on to doing the little Nanook case. Well, it wasn't a Nanook back then, but it's now Nanook cases
Yep.
because you're buying an experience.
Exactly. You nailed
Yeah,
it. That's the perfect word.
you are buying an experience. Like even so, the pallet system, you're not buying an experience with you buying a pallet system, but you want the experience to be nice. You don't want it
Yeah.
to arrive in in an old box that's had its corners kicked in. You want it to arrive nicely. Like now, I can tell you now, it's going to
Absolutely.
be what I'm going to be focusing on for the next like week or so. Is packaging on those.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
speaking
you
of,
got one
what are you
chance.
up to today?
Today, I'm going to finish packing up the remaining pens that I have to do. I'm going to basically finalize all this order, just a bunch of emails with customers and whatnot, get that all done, and then have my brain and mind totally clear to start the next run of pens here. So that's what I'm jazzed about, just to kind of fully close it off, so I can kind of just
Yeah,
get the monkey off my back. So yeah, that's all I'm doing today. Is
you're going
just
to do a slightly smaller batch.
I think so, yeah. Especially with the speed of the new mill, like I can just crank parts through. Like there's no sense of me just making parts for them to sit on the shelf while they make more parts to just
Yeah,
finish more part. Like I used to do bigger batches on the little one because it just I had time to kill, but now it's so fast. It's like I'm just sitting on parts that are made to make more
yeah.
parts. It doesn't make any sense. So
Okay. Oh, I'm
yeah,
excited to see how the new batch goes.
yeah. Thanks, man. How's so your day's winding down? So what's your tomorrow
Yeah.
look like?
Well, my tonight looks like editing a YouTube video.
Or your tonight?
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much effort I'm going to put into that right now. But yeah, tomorrow we are finishing up an order that started on Saturday, and then our local electricity provider decided to throw a tantrum because they didn't get the raise or the increase in tariff that they wanted. So all of a sudden, after 10 months of near flawless electricity supply, everything is now shot, and we have to go for 4 hours without power. Like I didn't know. I got a new phone in the span since we've had good power, and I didn't install the Eskom support, so I didn't actually get a notification. So I had my machine running, and 3 minutes past 8 in the morning, boom, power off. So I was like, what the hell's going on? Messaged, we've got a group in our neighborhood, a WhatsApp group. Message them, say, hey, what's happening with the power? Because normally one of them's on some other group or on Twitter or whatever, and they normally let us know what the updates are. And they're like, oh, load shedding. I'm like, oh.
Hmm.
So I installed the stupid app, sat and did paperwork for the pallet system for 2 hours, like did all the technical drawings for the websites and all those kind of documentation, like pull stud drawings and basic pallet drawings and things like that. It's all available now on the website. So I sat and did that, and then the power came on and I carried on machining. But I ended up losing like 5 or 6 hours of my day between switching on and off and just faffing around. So that I was meant to be done with Op 1 on Saturday. And then Sunday I started running. Then I needed to buy a new chair because my office chair broke. So I shot down to the mall to go buy a chair, and that took like 3 hours because my wife wanted to go for lunch. So eventually got back. I only actually ran 6 hours of production yesterday, but I got all the Op 1s done. Then this morning I quickly made a pallet. That, you know how it is with videos where filming takes 3 times as long to get something done. Yeah. So I filmed a video about making a pallet so that I could machine 100 little parts. That all in all only took like 2 or 3 hours. And then set up, and I've been running op 2 and 3 on these parts. And I managed to do 65 parts today. I've got another 35 to finish tomorrow. And that should be done by lunchtime. And then I can ship the order out and be done with it for now till they place another order. So yeah, been trying to grind through that. I've got some very custom drone parts that I need to make.
Ooh.
Later in the week, my mate Dave, who has designed this drone, he sent me all the final files today. So I've got to go through and make the folding arm mechanisms for him. Really fancy heatsink, some stupid little pins, like a whole bunch of weird stuff. So tomorrow I'm going to set the MCO's actually set up with all the tools I need to make some of the parts. So I'm going to quickly knock them out for him before I break down and set up for another job.
Nice.
And then
Sounds like a solid day.
hopefully Amber will deliver. And then I can run the 1,150 parts that I'm behind on, like 3 days worth of production, because these clowns haven't delivered my material. So I'm going to light a fire under them tomorrow.
I have my fingers and toes crossed for you.
Yeah, tedious. Yeah. So yeah, that's my plan for basically the week. Light fires under people.
Nice. Well, where do people go if they want no more information on this lovely pallet system you're developing?
Okay, so the more information on the pallet system is available on our website now, jspeceng.com. If you go to the online store tab, you click on it, there's a drop down for the frame lock utility knife and for the anchor point pallet system. So you can go through there. It's got technical drawings outlining the dimensions for the pallets, if you want to start making your own pallets before you get one. The specs for the pull stud, which is just a BT30 pull stud. And then dimensions for the standard base that's going out on the units, which is Sanders pallet compatible. We are potentially going to look at doing other versions, but that is a pretty generic, safe bet to make a Sanders compatible base plate. There's also a Lang version that's going out for testing, because some folks at Toolpath are like, can you make it Lang compatible after I've machined all the other ones? But yeah, so they're getting a Lang one to play with because they have a Lang system. And I'm like, this seems kind of stupid. But then it was pointed out to me that a lot of people have Lang bases, but the pull studs are expensive. So if you have a cheap system you can put on there, then bonus.
Nice.
So yeah, where can people find out more about your stuff, Curt?
Confoundedmachine.com. I have a next batch. I'm shooting to have it ready in about 3 weeks' time. So ideally, what I'm gunning for, basically end of this. Is it February now? Yeah, it's February now. So
yeah,
near the end
February.
of the month, February. Yeah, it's probably the main source of fun for that. I think we might do something kind of fun. I'm floating the idea of doing some kind of custom Canadian pens, some custom US weird saying ones. I don't know. I don't know. I got some ideas in the works, so we'll see what happens with that.
Engraving stuff's a bit easier now with the X5.
Oh, so easy. Yeah, so easy. It gives me a lot more options to kind of do some fun stuff. So
yeah. Speaking of the X5, I have 2 questions regarding it. Did you get
shoot.
probing on it?
I did not get probing because I heard not so good things about their probe. So I
Oh,
didn't go with
do you
it.
have a hammer in the machine?
I do. Yes.
Okay, that's what I can see. I can see
Yeah.
it in the window, and I thought it might have
Oh,
been the
really?
probing the IR receiver
No,
that I
just yeah,
could
an old
see. But
3D
okay,
3D touch probe. Yeah.
okay. And then what's happening with it and the fourth axis?
I don't
Okay.
know.
You waiting for
I've
them to come back to you so you can clear the
actually
topology error?
yeah, my distributor to get back to me. He's like, I have the procedure. He's like, I'll get it to you tomorrow. I was like, tell you what, how about you just like take your time,
Yeah.
do it, run it on your machines a bunch, then get back to me. I'm like, I'm not doing anything for like a week. Relax, get it perfect. I don't want you to send me something that's half baked. So just make sure it's perfect. So I think I just took the pressure off him. I think he was pretty
Yeah.
concerned of me yelling. So I was like, no, man, just
Okay.
get it right. So yeah,
Yeah.
so hopefully that this week it'll be fixed.
Okay. Speaking of Siemens, the Siemens guys haven't visited me yet.
Oh, okay.
That's fine. My machine tried to start itself while I was loading a part today. So I stopped and I put the relay in that. So I've got mine now hooked up. Okay, my tool brake detect is a little box with an Arduino that I made. That when I
Right. Yeah.
touch
Yeah.
the tool, it beeps. And there's a toggle switch that enables a relay. When it beeps, I think it's 2 or 3 seconds later, the relay then closes for half a second and that effectively pushes my start button. What was happening is I was getting erroneous start button pushes, which is
Right. I think you
truly
remember.
bloody terrifying. Yeah, I
Yeah, I
had
remember
mentioned
you
this to the
saying that.
boss. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I pulled the Ethernet cable through the other day because free twisted pairs. Um, put a relay in, didn't hook it up. Then was loading parts this morning and the machine tried to run because I'm running tool brake detection. And I didn't feel like toggling the switch all day. So I stopped what I was doing, opened the back of the machine. Speaking of, it's still open. Uh, opened the back of the machine, went in there, found the relay, had my wife stand at the relay I added while toggling the chip conveyor on and off to see which pin it needed to go to. Got that all hooked up. So now the only M code that I could easily access was my chip conveyor, but I don't have a chip conveyor. So it just toggles the relay in the back of the machine. So what happens now is when I go to do the tool brake detect, I turn that relay on. It does the detect, triggers the cycle start, and then turns off the chip conveyor. So that can't be
Hmm.
accidentally pushed anymore by the Arduino. And that
Nice.
seems to have resolved the problem. Like, it's
Yeah, it
only
seems
taken me like 4 months to do this. I've had all the bits. It's only taken me 4 months to actually implement it because normally I just use the little toggle switch and I don't let it go through to the relay, so it won't. The tool brake detect doesn't work, but now it works all the time and is fixed.
nice. That's a good
Yeah,
fix.
and then on top, geez, this podcast is going to get stretched out. On top of that, I have good things to say about FlexiLube.
Oh, nice. That's
So
a new coolant you're running.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I changed out my coolants last week Thursday. Took me an entire hour to suck out the LK and the MCO and put new coolants in. Within an hour, I was running again because Monica,
Nice.
she really sucks. Um,
Perfect.
put the new coolants in, and then over the weekend I had some foaming issues, not in the machine, but at the chip return at the back of the machine. So this morning at like 7:30, I messaged the rep. I'm like, "Hey, Cade, I've got foaming." He's like, "Cool. What is your tank level at?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Is it above 70%?" I'm like, "No, the thing was full, it was still foaming." So he's like, "Okay, no, I'll see you in about an hour." Pitches up about an hour later with a thing of defoamer. She add some water to it, pours a little bit, foam gone. He's like, "Here's
Oh,
the
nice.
bottle. If it's foaming again, just a little bit. Just slowly pour in a little bit because apparently the defoamer gets carried out by the aluminium shavings like really easily.
Oh,
Like
okay.
when you're
Okay.
doing a lot of roughing, the defoamer tends to cling to those shavings. I was like, okay, cool, fair enough. He left me with the bottle. He's like, if you have the issue, this should last you till like the end of the year. Like you should just need a little. Like he poured it in and it instantly stopped foaming. It was
That was
insane.
cool.
But yeah, I got nothing but good things to say for those oaks. I actually asked them today for stickers for my machine because I'm happy with their service. I'm happy with their coolant. I'm happy to share that I use it.
Nice.
So
That's
yeah,
good.
they're
I'm glad
gonna.
that works for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell them a Monica as well.
Cool.
No, the Freddies. By the time you get a Freddy to South Africa, it's absurdly expensive. It
Yeah. No,
nearly
that's
doubles in price with the shipping.
yeah.
So I'm looking at making them locally and calling them Monicas. And yeah, my one friend who does all the fabrication, he's going to fabricate them for me. And then I've got a few ins in the industry that are already excited to buy them.
Nice.
Yeah, FlexiLube actually offer, they call it the Coolant Doctor service, where they will come to site, check your coolant tanks, and actually maintain your coolant for you for a fee. Obviously, not aimed at me in my garage, but aimed at guys who've got, or factories that have got 40 or 50 machines. And these guys literally come in, clean the sumps out, like just they handle your coolant management for you as a service, which is
Nice.
quite interesting. The guy's like, you're probably better equipped than they are. I'm like, yep, I am. Like, I have to be. Like you're saying, the coolant, if it's looked after, will pretty much last forever. If it's actually looked after and never drops to low percentages or bad pHs and things like that. If you keep it well maintained, it will last indefinitely.
Yeah. I think that's the main.
Yeah,
I think that's the key for a lot of these things. Just like maintain it. I think a lot of people let that slide.
It's like you keep an eye on the concentration, because if your concentration drops, your pH drops, and then bacteria. So
Absolutely.
as long as you keep an eye on that, you should be good. Hopefully,
Time will
but
tell.
yeah,
We'll find out.
time will tell. Yeah. Cool. Are we going to call it there for the evening?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's a good
Okay,
good
sweet.
length.
Thank you everybody for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed episode 6. A little bit more on topic than usual.
Yeah.
We're trying to keep it on topic. Like, it's not easy, but we
No.
are trying. Please give us a like and subscribe on YouTube, 5-star review on Spotify, and feel free to share it with anyone you think might enjoy listening to us ramble about life in the machine shop.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys all very much for listening. And if anybody has show topics or things you want information on, hit either one of us up. I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I would love to get some feedback on some additional topics. So,
Yeah,
sweet.
exactly.
Have a good one, guys.
Okay, take care.